Hello, lecturer and everyone. My name is Wendy. I'm in group 2 with Sister Sinit. We are responsible for the audiolingual method, or ALM, and I'm responsible for point number 4, 5, and 6, which are reviewing the principles, reviewing the techniques, and conclusion that consists of summary and wrap up. All right, let me go to the first point, point number 4, reviewing the principles. Okay, the audiolingual have answered 10 questions, such as the first one, what are the goals of teachers who use the audiolingual method? In this one, teachers want the students to be able to use the target language communicatively by oral learning, automatically without stopping to talk. And the student can achieve this by forming new habits through overcoming the old habit of students. The next question, question number 2, what is the role of the teacher and what is the role of the students? The teacher is just like an orchestra leader who controls, directs, and provides students with a good model for imitation. While students are imitators who follows the teacher directions and instruction. They try to do it as accurately and rapidly as possible. Number 3, what are some characteristics of the teaching and learning process? In this method, new vocabulary and structural patterns are presented through dialogues, and students learn through imitation and repetition. Question number 4, what is the nature of student-teacher interaction and what is the nature of student and student interaction? Well, teacher-student interaction is the teacher-directed one, which the teacher is the one to lead the interaction, while student and student interaction is applied with chain drill and dialogues. Number 5, how are the feelings of the students dealt with? Actually, there's no related principles to this area, so it is not mentioned. Then we can move on to the next question, number 6. How is the language viewed? And how is the culture viewed? All right. Okay, we go back a little bit. The view of language is influenced by descriptive linguists. And each level, such as phonological and morphological, has its own distinctive patterns. And everyday speech is emphasized. More than that, the level of complexity of the speech is graded. Okay, next. Question number 7, what areas of language are emphasized and what language skills are emphasized? Vocabulary is kept to a minimum while students are mastering the sound system and grammatical patterns. Okay, so the natural order of the skill representation is adhered, to listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And also, the overall skills receive most of the attention from the students and the class. Number 8, so what is the role of students' native language? In the audiolingual method, the habits of students' native language are thought to interfere, to interrupt with the students' attempts or purpose to master the target language. Therefore, the target language is mostly used in the classroom instead of the native language. So mostly in the class, when using the audiolingual method, so students are not allowed to use the native language, but the target language. Question 9. How is the evaluation accomplished? In this point, natures of it is discrete point. So each question on the test would focus on only one point of the language at a time. For example, students might be asked to distinguish between words and in a minimal pair. The last question, how does the teacher respond to student errors? Well, students' error are to be avoided if at all possible through the teacher's awareness of where the students will have difficulty in restriction of what they are taught to say, they are instructed to say. Okay, the next point number 5, reviewing the techniques. All right, so there are 11 techniques of the audiolingual method that we can implement and adapt in our teaching. So the first one, dialogue memorization. It's for the short conversation or dialogue, especially for 2 people. So in this method, or in this drill, students take the role of one person in a dialogue, and the students switch roles and memorize the other person's part. And teacher gets half of the class to take one role, and the other half to take the other. Also, some pairs of students might perform the dialogue for the rest of the class. Number 2, backward build-up or expansion drill. They can be applied for long lines of dialogue. Normally, teacher breaks the line into several parts. Then students repeat a part of a sentence. Then they follow the teacher and expand what they repeated part by part until they're able to repeat the entire line. Now let's take a look at this example. Teacher say, repeat after me, and then it say post office, and student repeat post office. Connect teacher to the post office, student repeat to the post office. Going to the post office, student going to the post office. And finally, teacher say the whole sentence, the whole line, I'm going to the post office. And student repeat, I'm going to the post office. So first of all, teacher in this technique or in this drill, he tells the last line or the last phrase of the line, then student repeat one by one until the entire student can repeat the entire phrase or sentence or line. Okay, number 3, repetition drill. So in repetition drill, students repeat teacher's model as accurately and as quickly as possible to learn the lines of the dialogues. Okay, the next one. Okay, number 4, chain drill. For this drill, the teacher begins the chain by grading a particular student or asking him a question. And then, he keeps students asking question one by one. This one allows someone control communication, even though it is limited, but it gives teacher opportunity to check student speech as they keep asking or answering question. Number 5, single slot substitution drill. This is used to practice a short conversation or dialogue. The teacher says a line from dialogue, and then later on he gives a cue. A cue can be a word or a phrase, and then the student repeats the line, substituting the cue into the line its proper place. Now you can look at the example. First, teacher say a line that backpack is mine. And then he just gave the cue, which is a word mine. And let students repeat all of them. The student repeat that backpack is mine. The next drill, multiple slot substitution drill. Actually, it is the same as the single slot drill, but there are multiple cues to be substituted into the line. Mean to give more cues. The cue can be phrases or words. For example, you might see here. So the game is on the weekend. So first of all, you give the whole sentence or the whole line, and then he give the cues. So just give the game, or I can give all the weekend, and then student repeat all the sentence like that. The game is on the weekend. Okay, number 7, transformation drill. For this drill, teacher gives the student a certain kind of sentence pattern, and students are asked to transform positive sentence to a negative one, or ask them to change from active to passive one. For example, they give the sentence, I went to school. Yeah, I went to school, which is past tense, and then let his students to make it into question 1. And then student make, did you go to school? For example. And number 8, question and answer drill. In this, students practice the target language with answering questions and patterns. Also, students answer the teacher's question quickly. It also provides students to student chance to practice question pattern. Okay, number 9, the use of minimal pairs. In this, teacher works with pairs of words which sound the same, then ask students to tell the difference between the two words. And later on, the students repeat those words. For example, they give like a minimal pair, like in A, sheep, and B, sheep. So it just gives the two words which sound E and E. Just such as in example, sheep and sheep. And let the student tell the difference and let them repeat after all. Number 9, complete the dialogue. So in this drill, teacher works with pairs of, in this one, teacher erase some words from a dialogue. Students have learned, and let students fill in the blanks with the missing words. You can see here a short dialogue between Lucy and Rose. Okay, you look at the second one, the second character, Rose. So there's no words or phrase because the teacher erased it and let student tell the missing words to fill in the blank. Okay, the last drill number 11, grammar game. So in this one, the games are designed to get students to practice grammar point within a context. Teacher may use like the supermarket alphabet game. So this game, for example, teacher asks students perform that they are going to the market and buy something. Okay, student A say, I went to the market yesterday and I bought. He gave a word with letter A, apples. And then the next student continue from the first student. He repeat the whole sentence and gave another word with letter B. He said, yesterday I went to the market. I bought apples and letter B, a ball. And the next student keep repeating and adding a word with letter C, D, E, and until the rest of the student. Okay, the last point, conclusion. So after having, after having looked at both the techniques and the principle of the audiolingual, now let's try to answer these questions. Okay, does it make sense to you that language acquisition results from habit information? If so, will the habits of the native language interfere with target language learning? Should errors be prevented as much as possible? Should it be major focus beyond the structural patterns of the target language? And which of these or the other principles of the audiolingual method are acceptable to you? In conclusion, the audiolingual method, gets students to listen or view recordings of language models, acting in situations, and student practice with a variety of drills, and the instructor emphasizes the use of target language at all times. Also, in audiolingual method, we don't use rules like in grammar translation method, because in this case we are not focusing on how the students transfer source language into target language grammatically, but we are more concerned in how they use it in their daily life particularly. All right, that's all for our presentation. Thank you so much, lecturer and everyone, for listening.